Hello, I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. This is my sketchy friend Rob. How you doing, Rob?
Let's talk about the Force, Jason.
Let's talk about the Force. Yeah. So last night we stayed up until about 2 or 4 o'clock a.m. my time. So whatever time that is your time. We stayed up pretty late after watching the episode, talked about it. And I could feel that I was a negative Nancy. I can't lie. I really was, you know. But when I watched it again, I enjoyed it a lot more with tempered expectations. That said, I stand by everything I said on my original viewing.
That's just how my wife describes our second date, by the way. Like,
okay, I'm glad you said second date because I thought you were going to say something else, and I was like, "Ooh, dude,
no,
sorry, man, sorry, bud." You know, but
that first meeting of Rob it's always tough for people. It's like, that was you know, second time, no, it's pretty good, went well, went better. I like this plan. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Morning, Meg. I didn't get to watch Meg's review yet because my kids went to bed, you know, they couldn't stay up at a school night and everything like that. I went to watch it and they're like, "No, Dad." And I said, "Okay, but I'm going to watch Meg's review after the show."
Well, Meg's feeling better.
Yeah, I do. I hope you're feeling better too, Meg. Yeah.
She goes in her show. She goes, she has this whole thing. She's speaking perfectly, you know, eloquent.
Yesterday, right? Yeah.
Compared to, and then she goes, "Sorry for sounding so bad." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Sounding so under the weather?" Like,
I know. I'm like, Ward. I feel like grieving. and
I would like to apologize to everyone for sounding so American because I don't know if you guys are aware. Like, we don't complete sentences. We have no, you know, our syllables just fluctuate. You know.
I appreciate. That was nice. That was a nice comment. I won't read it out loud and stroke my own ego, but thank you. And hello, Mike Porter. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody had a chance to watch the episode. So yeah, like in terms of the series itself, like it's a lot slower than I expected. And usually whenever something is slow, I expect like a lot of depth. I want a lot of depth, you know, and it's not a deep show. It's an action show, but it does have a line that is so bad, but I love it so much. And both times I watched it, I cracked up. But I love it, but it's bad, but I love it.
I tried to help them. Instead, I got the massacred by the speed bikers.
It's so good. You can
say this, George. You know, you can write it, but you can't say it. I mean, it's one of those lines.
Nick 2 Speed Bikers is just what makes it just so hilarious to me. That's what cracks me up about it.
Before the internet became like the safe haven for loving Keanu Reeves, right? Yeah. There was a long time when if you defended Keanu Reeves acting, it was "I know Kung Fu." Well, he goes, "I know Kung Fu. I know Kung Fu." Right? And that I couldn't, bro, I'm telling you, there was like 7 years of me I could not get that fluctuation, you know, in that line. Just, it means everything to me. And some people look at me like I'm nuts, but I get what you're saying with the Nick to Speed Bikers, because that's a line where, like, as an actor, you're like, I gotta really say this with conviction today, huh?
Nick 2 Speed Bikers. Yeah, it is almost said like Keanu in a weird way. Nick 2 Speed, like it has a very Keanu rhythm to it, actually.
Nick 2 Speed Bikers.
Like it's like a question mark, almost a question. Yeah. It's like a question mark and it's flashed out at the end.
I have a question, acting coach. How do you say ... Because Keanu can do it. Because that's seriously like that. That is some form of talent that I'm super fucking jealous of. Beyond the fact that he's a wonderful human being and shit. I'm just saying, acting wise, like that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. So, in watching the episode, it's like, and on this talk, I'm going to try to not talk about the series' forward momentum where it should have been, in my opinion, and just kind of just like get on with the episode, with this episode itself, which in many ways I think I had a problem with, because it could have been the first episode in a certain way when you really think about it, because Fennec Shand and Boba are a duo, and we see them kind of how they meet in this episode, and Boba actually says what he's about now, and
well, because of the
everybody needs a tribe.
The flashback does,
yeah,
right? Because of the flashback does, you could not show them getting slaughtered, you know what I mean, and just have them allude to it, and then later show it.
Yeah,
you know, and what that actually means. So you've like I know when you see everything in order, it's hard to think about it like, what if this was the first thing I saw? I don't know. Well, that's what it's like to work in an editing bay where you look at the same fucking thing 7 billion times and have to pretend like every time you look at it is the first time. Like like you have, but I do completely agree with you that like pretty much you could have made this the first episode, in that it's the sequel to the series that you just saw, right? Like,
yeah,
it covers when he meets her and goes all the way up to when we last left off, and you know, and then, but yeah, you could, you know,
yeah. It's almost like we have this, like the first episodes were a prologue, and the series is starting the next. It's really starting now.
3 hours later.
Yeah, yeah, and
Peter Jackson's so jealous of a 3-hour prologue.
But we laugh now. We laugh now. But does that have to do with, you know? Does, in the big picture, with this being television, do we end up going, oh yeah, it was television, and in the end, it was the right choice, and in the end, they extrapolated upon everything. In the end, we got it all. Like, does that end up being the case? It very well could be. But right now, my feeling is that it was. You say the writing, and I don't necessarily disagree, but I do feel like the writing is generally fine. It's the editing of the writing itself.
No.
Yeah, you say no?
It goes writing and then editing. So the writing I'm talking about, like if I read the script, I'm omitting the scene to scene pacing, the continuity flow. I'm talking about, what does this character want? Why does he want it? Why should I care? And do I believe that I would want the same thing if I was in the same position? And 2 out of 2 of those things are completely, I still don't know. And the first one we didn't find out till now. You know, like, so there's 3 hours.
There's like 2, I think. But I'm with you. I feel like up front. That's
why should I care?
That's where I'm
editing
saying,
problem.
No. I'm talking about the editing of the writing itself. Like, I'm talking
the editing of the writing.
Writing. Yeah. The editing of the like. I feel like if these scripts had been edited and then it changed around, not the editing of the actual physical frames, the editing of the text.
Sorry.
And because it's like, there's just moments that I needed to know before. And like, you know, we were critical last night. I was critical anyways of things like Black Rosetten. They had that funny moment in front of Jabba's palace where he runs away. And it was like,
he just runs.
That was kind of the moment to really pounce and hire him right then. And even they could have been even played with the Wookiee life debt thing. And then they could have just had him be a problem after, because when you do have what I assume to be about a 400-pound fucking monster at your disposal, it's kind of a problem, because he's going to be like biting people and shit. You know what I mean? And
here's what's also confusing, right?
Yeah.
Here's what's also confusing, right? To an extent, is we've all believed at this point that the reason why Fennec Shen's doing all this shit is because she owes Boba for her life. But now we're like, nah, she just chooses to be here. And it's really confusing, because when you think about it, you're like, man, she really must be committed to this weird cause for some reason, if that's the case. You know, and it comes across in some of the interviews with Ming-Na Wen. I listened to an interview with Ming-Na Wen on Empire, the Empire podcast, and she was talking about how, like, this is not a spoiler because it's very, very non-spoilery, this conversation, but she says, you know, Fennec owns a life debt, but that's going to only go so far. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not seeing that story. I get that. I'm just not seeing that here, you know? Like, the closest thing I get to it is when Boba says, sometimes it's good when people think you're dead, you know? And then he goes in and right after or before, I can't remember which one it was, he tells a robot, I'm Boba Fett. Like, he does the Batman thing, right? Mm-hmm. I am Boba Fett to a robot. I'm like, why would a robot give two shits? I don't fully understand.
Oh, it's heard of his legend. It's heard the tale.
Man, why would a robot chasing rats care about the legend of Boba Fett? Like, I just, dude, like everybody. Like, if he'd walk into those gates and he goes, you know who that's my ship, and he goes, you know who I am, Boba Fett, and he fucking starts killing and murking dudes while she's sneaking in to come out the back, you know, like he's a distraction. Yeah. That would be one thing, but he wants to keep his hand in it. It feels like they. It says, look, all it says is Favreau wrote it. So all I gotta say is Favreau wrote it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
it feels like Favreau was like, I wrote how to solve all this, but I didn't really like have an answer. So we're just go with it. Just go with it. And you're like, okay, I'll go with it. And keep going with it. Keep going. Okay, and now to keep going with it, like in the superhero movie, when you're like, how many times can a superhero fall off a building and hit a car, right? Before you're like, all right, you're breaking your neck at some point here. Like, you can do it once in The Dark Knight, but you can't do it 15 times in a movie. You know?
So, okay. So what was working for me though in the episode, and even for the series from this, what I think it did contribute is in the conversation, she's like, I'm an independent contractor, not really interested. And then I think he makes a pretty good argument, because so far we've seen that the daimyos, the leaders, they're all about pomp. They're all stupid idiots. And he's like, hey, what if, you know, he's like, how many jobs have you done where if they had just thought for a moment, you wouldn't even need to have done it? She's like, that'll put us out of business. And he's like, but he's showing right there that he's intending on being smart. And he's also telling her, I'm offering you something that none of these people have ever offered you. And I'm offering you my life. And I think she believes him, because he does seem like he's a little weird after being in the desert. And she just, for whatever reason, thinks like, this guy could have just killed me. He could have just left me. He didn't. And so I think that there is a bit of gratitude. So she's seen that his word does mean something. He does free her after saying he would free her. And I mean, she could have just ran anyways the whole time. He didn't have his armor yet. But
these are good, valid things. The audience hasn't come to any of those conclusions.
I did though. I did when I was watching it this time.
So you're telling me before we watch this, if we took a poll, why do you think he's doing it? Someone would say,
no, I'm talking about
because he's offering her the loyalty. No, what I'm saying is, it's easy to understand why Walter White decides to sell fucking, meth, even though he doesn't have to. He has a way out, but he's not going to give his ex the satisfaction. Like, it's a bad move. It's a horrible choice. He made the wrong decision. But we totally get like, fuck this. I'm not, that whole like, I'm not doing that. Nobody here is going, man, he's got the loyalty. Give her the loyalty. You know what I mean? You're gonna be loyal. No. Like that's. But we're not getting that, because it's not there in the series. But he then says it, and then you think, oh yeah, I could see that because of all the things I know about the character. But we're not seeing that here. We haven't also arrived at that decision. So that.
Well, odd, where I would be, where I'm actually, that aspect of it for me, for the most part, when I watched it, the first time I got it, the second time it was much more, it was clearer to me, because I'm just like taking in everything. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, I could see why she's there. Then she decides, you know what, I'm going to see what this guy's about though. And she says, I'm going to go on the ride. I'm just here for the ride, is what she says. And then they go in there, and then she sees that he can handle his shit. He is Boba Fett. He does live up to the legend. She knows who he is, and okay. And so I get to some extent why she's there, and she's she could just go back to working for Bib Fortuna's, or she could stay with this guy, and maybe the work is a bit, has a bit more integrity.
Sarlacc. in 5 minutes.
Yeah, well,
I get I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I don't think if people are bitching they didn't listen to last night's episode, I liked the episode more than anyone last night.
You did. Yeah, you did.
Maybe Max probably liked it more. Max said she loved it. So like, whatever. But it's hard because sometimes Max will tell you like a week later, actually I hated it. I just didn't tell you all. Like, it's like, all right. I mean, you could tell us you don't like it. It's all right. Like, and it can change. I mean, I'm not saying like next week I have to, if I say, hey, I actually like this more, then you go, see, you're lying. Like, no, it's all right. But there's no way the average person is going to watch this 3 times to get it.
No,
they're gonna like. I got friends who've already tapped out the series. Hey, Rob, let me know, like, if they get to something, if something's worthwhile. And they're not. These aren't impatient douchebag. These are the people who will watch everything. They're just bored, man. And I'm like, man, you should never be bored with Star Wars. Never. Now, in fairness, had we gotten this series in 2003, right? 2004, 2005-ish, I would have been like, oh, this is the best written Star Wars in a long time. Like, it's not perfect, but I mean, I'll take this. I love it because I love the robots. I like the Tamora Morrison, a lot of what he does and him and Ming Na and all that stuff. But man, it's just like, I don't know why, other than it says Star Wars, I don't know why I'm tuning into this. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Sometimes. Like, if this said Star Trek, would you really be here talking about it today? Like,
probably not. I've grown up in many ways in terms of like that kind of stuff. Phantom Empire says, gotta admit, Jason, I thought you would have liked this episode. Thought it was probably the best one yet. The show definitely has some shortcomings though. Too many flashback. Hope 5 to 7 is insane. So we definitely are on the same page on the 5 to 7 part right there. And right now, I got to say, 1 and 2 for me, loved 1, or I should say, really, really liked 1, loved 2, and then 3 and 4, I'm like, it's a bit of a sag, for me. And so I actually might sound like a hot take, but I kind of liked the last episode more than this one. I just thought the eccentric stuff was a bit more fun, but I also did like how it put its toes into the cyberpunk stuff, and that it was showing that there is this like youth underbelly that's like the equivalent of piercing and tattoo, like counterculture kind of shit going on Tatooine, and that I thought that was fun. I probably would have taken it further. I probably would have appreciated it more if they took it further. And that's actually been my critique of both of those things, of Vespas and stuff like that, is, if you're going to do it, really do it, really, really lay into it. And, but it does solve the issue with, how we do learn how she got her new robot belly.
Right. And I think the way to take it further, it was something I had mentioned last night, was that this is Mos Espa. So what if instead of pod racing, they had these little, like, pod racing became these, like, not the Vespa scooters, but like the Vespas had the rockets attached to them, right? So you got like the pocket rockets, right? Like Kawasaki motorcycle bikes, right? Versus chariot racers, right? Or drag racers. And pod racing is a dangerous sport, right? You're zipping along at 1,000 miles per hour, and then in the pod races, everyone had tricked out pod racers. Well, what if the tricks now are your arms and limbs? So these people are getting different arms and limbs, and different specialities.
It definitely opens up a lot. It can open up a lot.
It's the setting in which that makes the most. It's Mos Espa, so it makes 1,000. There's no, it's lawless racing. Like it's got all this youth counterculture. They've changed the sport. There could be old pod racers like, man, I used to love doing this, but man, fucking kids took over, ruined everything. You're like, yeah, they're ruining all this stuff. I don't like them either, but that's one of those things where I'm like, man, that just builds off everything. There's no negative to doing that. There's no negative to doing it, other than they just were why. These kids, even the kids in the tattoo parlor, don't seem like they're gangs. Like the gang we meet out, the Nictu gang, that seems like a gang, right? Like these don't seem like gangs. This seems like kids who are like they're in their own little world,
Yeah.
And no one understands them, but they're doing their own thing and they're enjoying it. I just think like if they were racers, man, that makes just 10 times more sense. You know,
I almost thought you were saying they were racist, but then but that leads me to another moment that I didn't really I didn't really pick up on. Black Crescent, he's kind of having a little hate crime moment in that end moment. Like I just thought he was pissed off that people were like winning after his loss, but I didn't really pick up on the Wookiee Trandoshan, you know, the politics of the scene.
look and how look, not only that, but like how well versed in Star Wars lore are we, and we have to like, you know, like she has to go and explain all the backstory to him. Yeah, and it's like why did the question that from some people say, well, why would that scene there? I'm like, she's there to tell all this backstory that they didn't show, and giving the Wookiee the chance to see, you know, how Trandoshans threw him into slavery, and there's this whole like rivalry between him, you know, the Wookiee pelts and shit. Like we saw a Wookiee pelt in the first episode, but it didn't go, this is a Wookiee pelt from the Transocean, you know, Colosseums of Lictar or whatever, you know, like
Lictoad,
you know, where they like all the Lictoad, right? So like. And then you see the Lictoad thing where he like, you know, and then he goes and has some PTSD moment when he's getting, or beyond that bar, if Crescenton had just decided to get shit-faced and then go into the Trandoshan sector, right, where Matt Berry droid showed us. He goes in the Trandoshan sector and we see how it's all super lizardy. And everyone's like, oh, what are you doing in our fucking part of town, right? Like, kind of moment.
What are the odds that it, like, Black Crescenton's like, look, dude, you know, like, thanks for the job, man. I really appreciate this. And Boba's like, hey, dude, why don't you come up? I had this Bacta tank up there, right? You know, why don't you get in there, dude? You know, get your little eye fixed up a little bit. And, you know, I got some space, yeah, of course. So like space vodka or whatever he drinks. They go up there and then he sees that pelt and he's like, you motherfucker, you motherfucker. That's what I'm saying.
You're bringing him there and you're going to have a pelt. Were you supposed to go, hey, here's your brother? You know what I mean? Like, like, what is, like, hey, you know, you see radio back, hey, hide the pelts. Hide the pelts. Yeah. Like Kevin Smith, you know when Kevin Smith does the Silent Bob, right? Like,
So, our buddy Star Wars Santa says, funny that Rob beat you by 1 point again, Jason.
Ooh,
piece of shit. Got it. Anyways, and then Bespin put out the report, the spoiler report about what Din's flying. So there goes everybody's gonna put that in now. That's what I was putting in this week to try to win that extra bonus point, and I lost that because. Anyways, though, yeah, good stuff. I haven't got to watch anybody's stuff yet because my kids, like I said, my kids didn't see it, so I couldn't watch anything this morning until I took them to school and all that jazz. But anyways, so that said, I will probably in the next few days end up going back and probably just being like, you know what, I'm gonna chill out and watch all 4 episodes. I probably will do that. And I'm curious, knowing what I know now, if it actually improves any of the stuff, because that is one of the things like about Star Wars movies that I think you are completely fair to critique them on, Rob, in the sense that like in one viewing it should efficiently do what it's supposed to do, but then on like the Star Wars prequels, for instance. I believe that those movies were designed for rewatchers, and in the rewatch, I've gotten a lot out of it, and I'm invested enough in Star Wars.
I think you're right.
Yeah. that I'm like down to like rewatch. You know what I mean, though, and it's really is asking too much of your audience usually that they should have to watch something several times, but when it's Star Wars, it kind of does go that way. But on the flip side, with unlimited Star Wars, I don't know if rewatches of everything, I think it becomes less appropriate. You know,
I couldn't imagine being forced to watch any of the Marvel shows twice to get them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I just fucking won't. I won't.
But that's how most people feel about Star Wars, Jason. You got we have a bias for Star Wars, so we're like, well, I mean, you know, But the average person's like, other fucking shit to do. You know, there's MMA to watch. There's fucking, you know, I could pick my toes. I got some toenail. I mean, and there's stupid shit they could be doing.
They're like
the Westminster Dog Show.
They're like, do I want to watch Bad Batch or porn? Bad Batch or porn? I'm gonna watch porn.
Yeah.
But no, I totally get it. Like, and that's where I'm like, these things need to. That's why I'm okay with like Mando. I think Mando, like, it's weird. I need to come up with a better way of phrasing this. Like, I think Mando is kind of dumb, but it's a good dumb. It's not bad dumb. It's accessibly dumb. It doesn't require very much of the audience to go, oh, good guy, blue guy dumb, big guy bad, and then they're gonna do a fight, and then they're gonna, you know, and you're like, fun. It works. And like, so like I appreciate it for that. I appreciate that anybody's stupid uncle could just get on and watch it and have a good time. Accessibility is very important. And then, but then I feel like with this one, it feels not accessible to the average person to me, but it also has a bit of the dumbness to it. And that's where I'm like, go back and forth on it. But the Tusken encounter was the Sarlacc encounter was really, really well done with the Slave One. Like that moment, that stuff was like good. I would have, organizationally speaking, have liked all of the Sarlacc stuff at one time in one episode. I would like to have just gotten it all of it done in a nice little bow and wrapped up. It would have been better for me organizationally, editorially speaking, it's as a text, if all of that was kind of in the same chapter, because instead we're going back to this thing that he fell into, which is, you know, George Lucas going through a divorce and going, just throw him in the.
Oh no. See? Melon booted him. My show.
Melon, you're a jerk. There's nothing that I want more than just to be able to move on with the story and get on, because like we basically had like, I feel like 4 episodes of preparing for war, and or that we're going to war. It's going to be a war. This is only the first wave. Here it comes. It's beginning, and I am very much
the gathering storm, and it's like this is so in a book. Again, scenes and sequels, structures of chapters, a scene chapter, a sequel chapter. We start off with the sequel chapter, then we get a big scene chapter with the speeder bike, all that stuff set up, the Tusken thing. Then we get a sequel chapter, and then we get another sequel chapter.
Yeah,
we're waiting for the scene. You know, that's what this is. If this were a book, man, I'm telling you, you'd put the book down and be like, I'll get to this later. Like, yeah, it's called the Book of Boba Fett, so like, I don't know, man. It's weird.
Yeah, bring a book, right? That's like the biggest insult. Bring a book. It's so boring. No, it's the whole time I'm into it, but I gotta say, man, if I don't like the alighting, is it Dean Kundi who's pissing me off? Ultimately, on this one, yeah, because I don't like the alighting. And it's something that I can't get over. Jabba's palace, you know, there is we did see Return of the Jedi filmed on whatever fucking Kodak film in 1982, and it has a different look to it. And we are watching this show in 4K, but when I'm watching the show in 4K on Disney Plus, it doesn't feel like Jabba's palace to me. It feels like a prefab idea of Jabba's palace, and a lot of it is that it's so fucking vibrant in 4K, and it doesn't have any of that film look, and it's not so. I think it needed to be much darker.
It's not very used.
It's not very used. It's just very tan, or whatever the color of Jabba's palace is, and yeah, it's like, oh, we threw some barrels here, but it's like, you know, one of the things that I always appreciated about like Return of the Jedi and the idea of Jabba the Hutt is like when you're like on the skiff, there's just like this like one moment on the skiff where you see like I don't know what you call it, but it's like a giant like painting, or it's not a painting. It's like clay, and it's like of the Hutts. It's like some just like ancient piece of art, and it's like you're gonna tell me that like that there's no art in here. There's no opulence. There's, even in the original Return of the Jedi, there's like a vase on the ground here and there and stuff. And like as we're going through it, there's just a bunch of boxes. It's like was Bib in the process of moving?
I don't know, because he's got. I was thinking about like because the discussion of like why is the ship just sitting there for 5 years? Well, what if? I mean, it's fully armed. My guess is they've been using it. So like, what if that was the ship that had taken out the Tusken Raiders? Like, what if that's like Bib's little fucking? He's just using that as his little like go-to little targety ship. And it's just like, I mean, not him personally. Obviously, he'd have someone flying it, but like. There's just all these questions and the livability of this location that we know. This was the time, man, too, to also do like a raid episode where you get the whole structure of the thing, the palace. You get the layout. Maybe they try to get to Bib and they miss him, or I don't know, like this. I hate when you say wasted opportunities, but man, it's a lot of money to spend to feel like you didn't get enough, or it didn't make any sense, or to spend $150 million and people tell you your shit looks cheap. Like that's tough too.
Hey Santa, if you're not busy, let me know and I'll send you the link. But if you are busy, no worries. Peter says, I bet Bib's the type who never puts gas in after he borrows it. Yeah. I as a fan, and based off of what we saw, we just kind of like barely heard about Bib. I did like that we did hear that Bib actually had shit kind of under control. Like he kind of knew how to handle everybody when he became daimyo or whatever he is, and he kind of like everybody's like, this guy's an asshole. They kind of, you could tell there was kind of like that impression, and I thought that was just fun from like a lore perspective, because that was kind of like the weird thing is like we just see Boba Fett just walk in no problem and murder him. You're like, nobody else could have done this the whole time, and
or if they had found a real secret way to get to that chamber. Because Bib has the keys to his car, basically. Like they changed the lock, so we got to get good news, bad news. So this is again a storytelling structure. What's the good news? Good news, I found my ship. Bad news, too many guards, gonna need help. Good news, found someone out in the desert. Bad news, they're almost dying. Good news, I'm able to fix them up, and they're gonna help me. Bad news is, well, what's the bad news? Nothing. They're gonna help me. Okay, so we get bad news. The front gate is locked. We knew that. So the good news, there's a side way in, right?
Yeah.
So what's the bad news? There's just cooking droids. I don't know. Like that's, we dispatched the cooking droids. Okay. What's the good news? We know where the ship, we can get to the ship. What's the bad news? But there's guys protecting it. What's the good news? I don't know. Fennec is helping me take him out. The structure is weird. It's really weird, the flow of this. And maybe it's because one person wrote it, and they just wrote to their heart's content, without any feedback, like, hey man, like this is this is good whiteboard material, but let's structure it. Let's plus it here, let's Disney Plus it. But if you're not familiar with plussing is.
Jonathan says, we live in a different era where the audience expects faster paced films and TV series. There's a fine balance to be taken though. Yeah, that's what's kind of weird is it's fast. So far for me, it's been fast when I don't want it to be, and it's been slow when I don't want it to be. It's it's just, yeah, maybe this is just the one that ultimately isn't for me, which is fine. I mean, I've had enough of this stuff that is totally for me, that if this one ends up, not working for me, I'll be okay. I won't make it my identity. I won't throw temper tantrums about it or anything like that. I'll just probably not watch it. And at the end of the day, it'll just kind of
exactly what they don't. That actually is what they're trying to avoid. They want people to go to the subscriptions and get on board because of this stuff, not in spite of it,
Yeah, and I really am hopeful and do think that that those final 3 episodes are are going to be where this shit gets crazy. Because, man, like I gotta say, like Robert Rodriguez saying it over delivers. So far, it is under delivering. And it's going to have to really over deliver in those last 3 to really balance it out and make it worth it. Like a lot of this exposition is going to have to really of just really bend that T-ball where Babe Ruth comes up against the little T-ball stand and hits it out of the universe at that point. And maybe it's doing that. So I'm willing to I'm willing to put faith in the people who should know more than me, and who I believe do know more than me about filmmaking and all that kind of shit. So I am hopeful, that like you guys are masters in the industry. I believe you guys are going to come through. But if you don't, I'm not going to pretend like, well, I just don't get it. I'm dumb. You know what I mean? I'll send you the link.
Look.
Right now, Santa.
Robert Rodriguez knows how to run a production, but what's his excuse for Sin City 2? Well, it's not the source material. Source material is great.
Yeah.
Like, hey, about this? Sometimes we make bad things. We don't intend to. We didn't go into it trying to make a bad thing. You made a bad thing. Like it happens sometimes, Like, is it the worst thing I've ever seen? No, it's not. Is it the worst Star Wars thing they've made so far? Looking like. And the real shame of it is this should have been, we get to bring all these actors back that like should be getting their chance to fucking really shine. It's frustrating. Like, why even have the Boston Dynamics robots in the one shot if they're not going to be roaming around the whole city the whole time? Right? Is that literally just a product? And is that how you pay for the show? Like, did you really have to do it? Because like, where'd they go? Like the one thing George would do is you would see a lot of the same aliens when you're in a certain part of the city over and over again. But that's because imagine if there were different aliens every time, but they weren't much better. It was just different. It's like, well, if you're in the same spot, show me the stuff that's in the spot. Because we're thinking there's going to be dewbacks near the cantina. And if all of a sudden there's also like a Wampa, and then there's a weird fucking, like elephant dog Teddy Ruxpin thing, and then there's so it's like the otter, the rabbit otter in a bikini would have been fun to have sitting there in that fucking lounge. Shit like that. I don't know, man. Like, it's just odd.
Yeah. So I do think that we're getting like a definitive like concept of Boba, like in a way, like in this part of his life, like. It feels it's very filled in. Like there's not like I don't have like that many questions at this point now. Not to say I love the explanations necessarily. Like why is Boba's reasoning makes sense. Why work for others when you can work for yourself? That's always been my take. I completely agree with it. I understand it. It makes sense. Would the story be propelled? Could it be propelled by something further than that makes it a little bit better, a little bit deeper? I think so. At this point, why do I keep seeing little Boba crying for daddy? What's the fucking point of that at this point? I don't. I mean, I could come up with reasons. I could come up with reasons, but that's me doing the actual like heavy lifting, the work. And like, so I'm kind of a little bit hoping in the next episode when he confronts Din, and says
the good news, bad news in that palace.
Yeah.
Good news, got the ship. Bad news. You know who's been piloting it the whole fucking time? Like Rex. There's an evil version of my dad who's been using the ship to do the dirty work, and an evil version of me killed the fucking Tuskens. Like, look, you could say, but that's the classic Western shit. You know what I mean?
Fun, yeah. But next episode we're gonna meet Din. They telegraphed it. They didn't even try to make it like secretive in a way. They're like when we see the flare go up, they're like, they're like, let you know That's the Mando episode. Remember the Mando episode in case you're dumb and you don't get it, which is fine. On that one, I get it. It's like a whole, you watched it 2 years ago now or something. So it's like, okay. But then when they get to the end, they like play the music and you're like, okay, so they're going to meet Din. So that's where I'm hoping that there's that Mando to Mando talk. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm doing this for my, and then he starts to talk about something about his dad or some reason. His deeper motivation.
But that's the man. He already talked to that Mando, so to have the same talk with the same character.
No. He just proved that why he was the rightful heir to the armor, and he gave him the armor. But when he says Din, when he goes to hire, like, so here's the thing. There's going to be two. I think there's going to be two kind of ways that this is going to go. Din is either going to just be back to his old self, and he's going to be taking jobs, so pay me, fine, or I'm on this other quest now. Why should I stop? And then this is when he's going to say like that's when they have their Mando to Mando moment. But I will say Mando to Mando moments, Mando ideology, Mando, this is the way shit is very Klingon-y. And I don't have a lot of patience for that shit in the end. Like when logic is defied because no, it is the Mandalorian code. I must help a brother in arms. I must. There is no, you get a little bit like
Chon Chu.
That's when I kind of start to go, I don't know about this, but I am hoping
Tough
that
luck, Mando rocks.
Yeah. Yeah,
can't do the Klingon voice.
Yeah, Mike is all. Wouldn't it be hilarious if they play the music and Din never shows up? Did anyone notice?
Be the best.
We
just like my dad never shows up.
Yeah, we knew that Din was coming in the N1, and I was like, it's either this one or the next one. So that's why I kept saying, Din. I'm like, Star Wars Meg says that we're gonna have that dinner. I know we're gonna have a Naboo starfighter, but it's Din time. But nobody picked up on it. I was dropping it. I was being tacit though. Breadcrumbs. Hey Max, how's it going? I did love the show. Yeah, Max. I liked it better on my second viewing, just with my expectations more in line. Like I was thinking. Basically, this episode for what it was did pretty much every single all the no expectations for me were surpassed in the sense that it like we knew he was going to go look for his armor and not find it. We knew he was going to save Fennec. We knew that the dinner scene was going to happen. We knew every single aspect of this episode of what was going to happen story-wise. So there was no big shakeup. In fact, the only shakeup for me was essentially that the other crime families aren't going to help him. They're just supposed to stay out of it. And it's kind of a so what, because he's just going to go hire a bunch of badasses and everything like that. And I was hoping.
What was the point of putting him over the Rancor pit with the dinner table? Like it's just stuff like that. Like that's why I told you. You think you're going to drop someone in the Rancor pit? I'm like, they'd have to drop the whole table, and he's at the table, so I don't. But then it's like the Rancor is underneath there to show him what I got a Rancor. Like it just, I don't know, man. Like it's the plot logic for the show is a 1. Like I don't think the characters are doing anything. They rarely do things that I agree we would do in the same situation.
What was that? Was that like Klingon logic that I'm supposed to read into? Like he has a Rancor, therefore he's powerful, therefore they respect him and fear him. I kind of, and I also thought like the whole time, and this is really irrelevant, but I was like, what if they had just sat down and the Rancor was like, "Feed me, Daddy, feed me!" Like right then, he would have just been like ruined. It wouldn't have worked. Instead, it happened right at the right moment, and I was like, well, yeah, that worked out for you. But Douglas says Boss is coming too, telegraphing it with Crescent being awkward around transitions. Yeah.
Dude, hold maybe Boss back for the 5th or 6th episode. It's so weird. It's not a big deal character to people, Yeah.
In fact, at this point, in terms of your average Disney Plus viewer, Black Crescent is probably more famous than Bosk right now. I mean, in reality, like most people don't know who Bosk was. overall. I mean, like everybody in this chat probably had a parent who's bought them a Bosk action figure probably at some point. Ask them if they know who Bosk is. They're gonna be like, who? Probably, anyways.
They didn't know who he was when we saw Rise of Skywalker, and they cut to it. Like, honestly, I had a friend who was like, "What was the thing with the?" I'm like, "It's the bounty hunter Bosk." Like, all right, nerd.
Yeah.
Meg something to do.
Bosk is known in the culture. I'm going to say outside the culture, probably not.
Yeah, when we say not known, I'm not talking about us. All us sitting up at 2 a.m. talking about Star Wars. We're not. Yeah. We're not the majority, folks. Like, you gotta understand, if we're not the majority, like, not even remotely close. Like, if you said, Rob, I bet you I can get more people name me 3 characters from Modern Family or something before they'll know who Bosk is. You know, like, and I couldn't name 1 character from Modern Family. But I guarantee, I just know people watch that kind of stuff. They don't like.
Joel says that having a dinner party over a live Rancor pit is a huge power move. So it is a bit.
Yeah, but it didn't do anything. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there is sort of an implication. People are going to be fed to this thing eventually. But we still want to believe that yet the people at that table are powerful. And in certain ways, I kind of wish that the people at the table were a little bit more interesting. Looked a little, were a little bit more fascinating. Like there's something to be said about them being basic, and that this is like, if the Star Wars films are the majors, this is the minor leagues, and so we are seeing that like play out. And there's a part of me that kind of loves that. But there's another part of me that's like, and these characters could have maybe been contributions, but Dogface 1 is not really gonna stand out. I mean, even the Separatist League, what are they called? The Separatist, the Separatist guys and the prequels, they all were very unique. Wat Tambor's like, "Hello, bitch," blah, 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 blah. His thing's going off and shit, and there's like Skinny Neck Guy and all that stuff, and you're just like, whoa, like this is neat. This is very exotic to this, and visually, I'm not loving it, actually. Surprisingly, I actually think Mandalorian looks a lot better so far. On that,
and they nailed it with the Ugnaught. 2 episodes in, imagine if the Ugnaught was forgettable. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, look, folks, if you can defend it all you want, but if this was if this was Star Trek, you wouldn't be giving 2 shits about it. Like, but I think if the Mando were Star Trek, we would still be talking about this bounty hunter Star Trek show that goes around. He's got a cool ship. He's got this little Vulcan baby he's taking around.
Yeah. Well, like
Vulcan.
Yeah, I mean, like it is kind of like an apples and oranges thing, I guess. So it's only so fair to go so far with some of it, but it's like in Mandalorian, just for like what it was, we had we met the Ugnaught guy, and we loved that guy. Everybody, like, we loved Baby Yoda. Din was mysterious, but we liked him, and you just had so many characters who you liked overall. At this point, I'll be honest, I don't know if I even really like Fennec Shand or not. I don't dislike Fennec Shand. I'm not really sold on Fennec Shand yet, though. There's a lot of we'll tell that to the boss, like kind of stuff, just all the time. And she really needs a good moment, and she hasn't had one for me. And in Mandalorian, she was a disposable character that I thought was overall kind of forgettable. In Bad Batch, when they brought her in, she was a formidable against Cad Bane, but that's just checkboxing kind of stuff. So far as a character, not in love with the character. I'm not interested in her. If she walked off the screen and I never saw her again, I wouldn't have too many more questions, And so,
speaking of walking off the screen and never seeing him again, where's the Vespa gang?
Yeah.
Like this was the time to have the Vespa gang in the background, like during at least the dinner scene.
Yeah, me and you, I agreed with you last night on. I still agree with you on it. But when I watched it, on my second viewing, I was like, he had the Gamorreans, and they didn't bring a bunch of soldiers with them either. So I was able to justify it to myself that as a sign of respect, they didn't have a bunch of low rung. We're gonna jump you guys.
The sidekicks lounge.
Yeah,
it'd be funny if they would cut to them and they're all stuck in the shitty sidekicks lounge.
And I mean, and if we want to just get realistic about it, they may have made more problems than they solved. You know what I mean? Visually, it would have been better though. Visually, it would have been better if it was.
If they were hanging out outside with the cars and they're like checking out,
or if there was like the Barada gang here looking at them, and they're looking at them, and if that thing was just kind of that would have been nice. Yeah.
A little sea story moment, like little something.
Yeah, but I always say like that the idea I like Jabba's palace, like back when you see Jabba's palace full of things and life and people and stuff, right. And like you see like the lady with like the wig, like the white wig with like the stripe in it and stuff, or if I'm remembering it right, it's kind of like a punk looking mod kind of haircut thing going on there. And like I like seeing those characters and picking that kind of stuff out. So if you fill that up and those people are all in there, then I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Like that's neat. I'm about it. It's just it's only when it's like the only thing on screen, just like the Barada or the dog people and the Trandoshans, when they're the only thing on screen and there's a bunch together. That's when it doesn't really look that good to me. Like in the casino, the casino moments are generally like pretty well done, I think. But like when you have all of the Trandoshans together, all in the same thing, like kind of looking the same, and when Black Crescent staring them down, it doesn't really it doesn't visually work as well, and they aren't giving them their individuality of characters in that way, like it. So yeah, and this is me like second guessing what they're doing, but it is things that the original films didn't do. They didn't put two Greedos together; they spaced them out. Give them crazy fingers. But yeah, so it just like I do have these like little gripes, and maybe maybe in a weird way this is a big learning curve still, because maybe they are still learning what works outside the films. You know what I mean? Like the films did what they did and they're iconic, and in a weird way it's almost hard to like learn from something that was such a cultural phenomenon. And so maybe in a weird way they are still learning from this stuff. That's what I'm trying to say.
Or at the very least, I hope they learn from what they've done.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Like there are times when I see a movie, like let's say The Eternals, right, where it's like there's all this stuff packed into it. My friend looks at me and I go, well, it's a learning lesson. Like the first and second Thor movies were learning lessons for Marvel, and then the third one they nail it. Now that this is a lot of hours to learn from here. It's not a movie, it's
True.
A series. And we live in a world where Netflix cancels good shit after like 4 episodes simply because it got 21,000 views instead of 23,000 views,
Right.
So like it's like, if these were ruthless executives, would they be letting these people make this stuff, or would they have fired this shit from the get-go, and hired a different crew? Like,
right.
I feel like we're getting friends making things now and not the best people for the job. Like, and I'm sorry, like, but that's how I'm sorry. I don't get. That's me watching this. Okay, I don't care. I'm not getting the best person wrote this shit. I'm not getting that. I look at Mando and I'm like, man, I think the best people put this stuff together that could have put this together. I mean, no one else would have put that together. I'm not getting that here. So sorry,
yeah, no, I don't know if I would go as far as to say there's like some kind of nepotism going on, as much as you delivered something that massively made us a ton of fucking money, and we're gonna listen to you. And then also and then when they move it, like I said, that's where that's where I was asking last night is, are there too many rock stars involved? In the sense that like when you have like a band, when you have a band, there's usually somebody who is the quote rock star who leads it, who's like, and everybody's like, hey, you know what? If St. Vincent says this, we're all gonna do what she says, and then we're gonna make good music. But when you get a super group together, are any of those ever good? They never
Temple
are.
of the Dog.
No. They're hungry. They're going hungry.
They were good.
They were still in bread. They had to steal bread.
It's a great song. It's a great song. Still holds up. But that's rare. No, you're right. It's super rare. Matter of fact, I would say it's kind of like, when you get like Live Aid together and you're like, man, this is really kind of fucking boring. Like, this isn't really a show. It's just a bunch of groups. And then one shows up, you know what I mean? That actually it's weird how one stands out, right? But as a whole, the whole thing is just a hodgepodge of I'm not comparing the show to the holiday special. I'm not saying that, but a variety show that leans on the variety, right? But instead of the variety being the stuff we're getting in the show, the variety is like the rock stars behind the scene. Does that make sense? And we got a Rodriguez, and we got a Favreau, and we got a Filoni, and we got a Dean Kundi, and we got like all these people, and you're like, so who's the leader? I mean, we've said this before, like, who's the showrunner? Who's the person with the passion to make, not only this person wanted to make this, only this person could have made it, kind of thing.
Hey,
I made it.
How's it going, Sour Santa?
Speaking of making it.
We've got contracting decisions that needed made. So do you want this here or there? And then so we had to walk through and talk about electricity. So there you go.
Right. You're like, hey, contract. Do you guys know that a new Star Wars episode aired, and you guys just need to chill out for a second?
You make entirely too much noise. Yeah.
People don't know this, but every year Star Wars Santa does the mail to mail plug thing, and Home Depot fucking hates him for it. You know? Stop giving these out.
That's funny.
Yeah. I said I wanted this job done right, but I also said I wanted it done quietly.
Quietly. I know that the elves make entirely too much noise. With all the joy and merriment, they love their jobs, and they're out there working and just having too much fun. There's
So what did you think of the episode?
I liked it overall, and I kind of went in thinking, and we talked about this, Jason. Like, I thought this episode would be maybe a little more talky than fighty, right? And so, and it turns out that it was. And it was somewhat surprising that 2/3 of the show was flashback. Mm-hmm. Like, really, 30 minutes of it was flashback in a 49-minute show. So, and that's without credits or whatever. So, that's a lot of flashback. And maybe it's all done now. It seems that maybe it's all done now. So it'll all be action from here on out. But I suspect there are still people quite grumpy about the episode. For me, I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying the backstory. I'm enjoying the character development. I'm enjoying, everything that's getting set up. So for me, it was good.
It's kind of funny that they got a lot of flashbacks and flash dance in the same thing. Just gonna say, it's kind of funny.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. But there's been some valid points made, and some the Sarlacc scene. I'm not. Like, that has some valid criticism. I don't know why we spent so much time revisiting the Sarlacc when we already saw him get out of the Sarlacc. And as I mentioned this morning, like, we saw his memory of getting out of the Sarlacc, his recollection of the Jawas whacking him and taking his armor. Why did he go back to the Sarlacc and spend so much time there? Like, it was his memories we saw, not something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jason made a good point where he thought, like, maybe after he kills the Viking, he's like, you know what? Let's go get some more revenge. And then it's that that montage music from Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. Oh, I want to break some stuff, but I'm gonna kill this Sarlacc now. And he's just flying around Tatooine, blowing up.
Yeah. When he first flew over it, I thought he was just going there to blast because he's like. I thought he was going there to blast, and I was like, and
then they look at each other. All right, and then they just do a montage of them being buddies. Hey, there's something. Let's go pull that up down there too. Hey, let's get that, man. Like they go blow that shit up. They go They go 1-2-5, you know.
I thought he killed it the first time when he roasted it from the inside. You would think that would have some,
heartburn
consequence.
Just heartburn.
Yeah. Oh, got some indigestion in that right stomach. Like a cow. Like how many stomachs does a Sarlacc have? No. So I thought, wow, that was kind of odd that we revisited it and we spent so much time there. I thought we would get the Cobb Vanth flashback where he's looking like at the end of Mandalorian, where he looks, in the episode he looks over the cliff and he sees the armor down there. So it's like, well, I thought we were going to get that side of that,
Nothing. I'm not getting the impression that if they're really gonna go back to it unless he should get hired to be part of the army, that Boba's putting together in the end, which very, very well could be. I mean, it is in terms of the story at the moment. I'm not saying it's going to be logical and that this is going to happen, but Cobb Vanth has more of an investment in Boba Fett's future and where this goes than Din Djarin does. I mean, he's on the planet. If these crime people get out of control, Mos Pelgo is going to pay the price, and having stability and order is what he ultimately wants. Right. So, in a weird way, I almost feel like I almost wish that the show had been more into its own self and gone that route first, and then maybe he's the one like, we should bring your friend. We should bring your friend Din in. Like that. I think that would have been. Maybe it'll still go that way, but I still think that would have been the smarter route.
I agree with you. And I can see Din coming in, and we clearly have a foreshadowing of that, right? There's a ton of foreshadowing. Din Djarin is coming, right?
But then we also have that Kira theme. That plays too. No,
look, I'm telling you,
this one is
no average person who saw Solo is going Kira theme. That is such a that is a winning, making Star Wars trivia show game. You know? What I mean?
Yeah. I'm not saying that she won't come in. I right now my take though is that at the bare minimum, it's just the underworld theme.
I have developing thoughts on that. So this morning I was thinking no, and as I talked through it during the stream, I thought, you know what, we could end up with the reveal in episode 7 of Crimson Dawn and Kira kind of walking in. And I'm thinking now it could very well be a post-credit scene, much like we got with Boba at the end of Mando 2. We could end up with a post-credit scene after Book of Boba Fett, where we see Kira talking to somebody saying,
that would be the worst.
What's this nonsense I'm hearing about over on Tatooine? Something,
Yeah, that would be really bad. And I've said that around, I think, the first or second episode. I was like, I fear that's where they're going, and no one's going to be like, the average man, I don't fucking know why I should get. And Jason says, well, though it's Khaleesi. I'm telling you, if you have to stick around to the post-credit scene of the 7th episode, they ain't targeting those people. They needed her in the first episode to target those people. Episode to target those people.
If that happens, if what Santa said happens, and then she looks over, and you kind of see like she's sitting on somebody's lap, and she says, "Let's get him, Daddy," and it pulls out, and it's Mace Windu, and Kira and Mace Windu are a thing. I'll break my TV. It will be the best moment in television history. I'll be like, ah! I'm so excited. Yeah, imagine that. That would break the world.
I can't unimagine that now. That's the
problem. She's like Crimson Dawn, more like Purple Dawn. What? No, I'm just kidding.
Purple rain, purple rain.
Yeah. So how did the scores shake out for everyone over on the Star Wars Santa show? How did everyone do?
We had 2 perfect 20 out of 20s.
What?
Which has never happened before. And neither of them were Jason Ward or Sketchy Rob.
Was it Meg? No. Was it Meg?
No. Meg is down with the plebes. She's sick, so I give her a little bit of credit there. She didn't.
So we're like inside traders who are broke. It makes no sense. Broke inside traders. What is this?
Right? That's a good analogy because neither of you made it onto the Wall of Fame this week. Although your sketchy friend is on there for 2 weeks in a row. How does Rob make it on 2 weeks in a row and Jason does not? That's what I want to know.
He has the same bad ideas as Jon Favreau. I'm just gonna steal it.
Same bad ideas.
No, he's reading it right. Rob is reading it right. It's
so
why he's on the show. It's why I have him. It's why I want him on the show all the time. Like, hey,
in my defense,
I don't always like what you say, but it's true.
In my defense of these picks, I'm generally being nice. I mean, I would honestly, like, I should. I don't want to be a negative dude, but like, it's weird because it's like, if I just go. Like, I think we're going to see none of this shit and it's all fucking a waste of my fucking time, then that's not a show that you want to tune in and listen to. Like, not the, like, so it's like, look, I feel there's a good possibility this could be a big waste of time with some pretty visuals, So based on that, I don't think we're going to see any of this stuff. And I think you're going to see a bunch of things you never would have figured you were going to see and waste time on. And we're going to drag that out until the very end when something happened. And then I'm going to hear how, see, I told you something was going to happen. Like, yeah, well, fucking, we're 7 episodes in. Like, if we don't happen, I don't know, when the hell does it happen after the show's over? Like, off screen in a comic book? Do I have to get to Marvel fucking comic to get all the shit?
Well, so I mean, I just had a 2-hour live stream talking about Thrawn, and the bulk of that content comes from novels. For people to really know who Thrawn is, you're not going to get it from Rebels. You're not going to get it from, what we have on Disney Plus. You've got to spend a lot of time in comics and novels and outside of that. So, yeah, I think that's a fair criticism. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they're leaving for us to go find in other places. And the average person is just not gonna.
I'm actually, with how Black Chrysanthemum has been kind of treated from the comic books to here, not exactly novels based off them and stuff like that. But I am a little bit, my confidence in anything in text form actually really meaning much to the creatives and the powers that be. It's more, I didn't really believe it too much from the start, but it's really pretty shaken right now, honestly.
I told you, none of that matters. Like, none of it matters, and they're not going to give 2 shits about it. And I don't know why that is, but that's the mentality that's at Lucasfilm in general.
Because Kathleen Kennedy ain't reading that shit. She got stuff to do. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, she quits tomorrow. I don't think that changes.
Yeah,
I don't think it changes for some reason. Like, no. I don't know why that is. But explain to me. Remember leading up to this, everyone says, "Got to reward the bounty hunters. Got to reward the bounty hunters." I'm like, why? Why? What was in there? I mean, the Boba Fett in the first issue of War of the Bounty Hunters is doing more action than this Boba Fett ever would. So, like, I'm trying to figure out. What with the Dengar and the Bosk and the Afras, like, they didn't know. No, you're just telling me to read some shit because your sales are lagging. Sorry.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. And I know. Look, Dave Filoni is a byproduct of George Lucas. And the way he does his storytelling is heavily, heavily influenced by George Lucas. And what did George think of the novels and the comics and the stuff?
Yeah, not much.
Not much. And I think Dave Filoni is on. Yeah, exactly. I think Dave doesn't that apple doesn't fall too far from a tree, And Filoni may give. This is something I've been kind of noodling over. Is Timothy Zahn created? He more or less is synonymous with Thrawn. How much would Dave Filoni honor Timothy Zahn as the creator of a character, much like he is the creator of Ahsoka and a lot of the Rebels characters? Would he give the same respect to Timothy Zahn? And right now, I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Well, we haven't seen Timothy Zahn give Timothy Zahn a lot of credit in that first Thrawn novel. I got bored. I'm as big a Thrawn fan as it gets. I'm as big a Thrawn fan as it. I love Sherlock Holmes. I love all that fucking thing. That book was fucking boring, man.
Now, are you talking about the Thrawn trilogy, not the Ascendancy trilogy? Or are you talking?
I couldn't get past the first half of the first book, man. It says Thrawn on the cover. Timothy Zahn, he's back.
Yeah, that's the Thrawn trilogy. So that's the Thrawn trilogy. It's set during the original trilogy era, and I get your point. But the Sherlock Holmesian Thrawn is into Ascendancy novels for sure. So if you want to skip,
they just buried it somewhere.
It's real heavy and it's really heavy in the Thrawn.
It's so weird, man.
It's so weird. Hey,
we look how nerdy we're like. Hey, man, in the third volume of this series of books you've never heard of, right? If you go dig that up somewhere in there, man, you're gonna find that shit. You're gonna
find the real Thrawn, man.
Chapter 12. Just gotta get to the first 11. But in chapter 12, man, like really,
you're not.
That's
wrong.
like me telling you, man. In One Piece episode 427, now it's like 1,000. But in 427 is when shit gets real good. So just don't worry about it, man.
You're not wrong, and it's confusing because there's a Thrawn trilogy and then there's an Ascendancy trilogy. There's 6 books, and they happen.
Ascendancy's so YA novel sounding, man. That is not a Star Wars name. Ascendance, it is. It's a fucking YA novel sounding. I hate those fucking modern names, man. Like a Gathering Storm was a fucking novel, right? Gathering Storm, right? Outbound Flight sounds more interesting to me than Ascendancy. Doesn't mean anything. These are one word marketing fucking things that don't mean shit. I way prefer the super long term, like they're doing these now with something happened with the children in the cupboard. Like those kinds of names that are happening now. They also like Agatha Christie novel like things. But this one word shit, it needs to go away. Like,
okay, how about this one?
Defiantly,
Anakin's ashes. No, okay.
that you know what I'm saying?
Go with the alliteration. Well, they do have
comes with the real vial ashes.
They have names. There's Chaos Rising, Greater Good, and Lesser Evil. Those are the names of the novels, but they're the Ascendancy trilogy.
Stupid names. Greater Good, Lesser Evil. Man,
I don't know
really,
what to tell you.
Yeah, bad.
I don't know what to tell you. But there's your Sherlock Holmesian Thrawn. He's in those Ascendancy books.
Okay.
And they're during prequel era.
So who got 20 out of 20? Who are these clairvoyants?
Ducky
people.
Ducky Momo. Yeah.
Ducky, good job. Ducky.
I know. Everybody's gunning for Ducky. And then the other is Brian Stone. Now Brian, he shows up here from time to time.
Brian Stone.
And there's a conspiracy theory that Ducky was giving you super chats yesterday so you would feed him information behind the scenes. He got a 20 out of 20 because he gave you a $2.99 super chat.
Yeah, he gave me a $2.99 super chat. He said, I want you to not make the board and give me everything that you know. I said,
the only thing behind the scenes Jason does on this show is pee in a bottle on air. Like, you can't see it, but it's it's happening.
Yeah. So Jason said, I'll take the hit for you, Ducky. I'll take the dive in the third.
That's how Jason's reusing bottles. He's being eco-friendly. I saw this comment. Someone said, "Hey, man, about the bottles." I'm like, "Fuck, man."
I don't disagree with them. I mean,
I don't, but man, it's just we're being held to such a standard here. Meanwhile, everyone's pimping Manscaped. Like, how many resources it takes to fucking make endless ball shaving material? Like, just think about it. Like, a lot of plastics, a lot of materials, a lot of slave labor to make your balls get trimmed. You could just use a fucking razor. Right, Santa? You know what I'm talking about. Get the old Kris Kringles.
or not. I mean, there's that option too.
Who says you can't make Elf 2? That's all I'm saying.
Now, I have you have heard that they are making the Santa Claus that Tim Allen did. They're making that into a Disney Plus series. Tim Allen's already signed on for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, Tim Allen, he's not a Santa Claus. What?
Yeah, Bob Chapek just on a big win streak here, ain't he?
Now, see, I served that up on a softball for you, Rob, and you didn't even take it.
I don't go for low hanging fruits.
See, right? So we had Santa Claus, we had the marriage clause, we had and now we've got the series on Disney Plus being the shaving clause,
Shaving clause. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just saw flashes of Nazi flags when you mentioned Tim Allen, so I get blinded by the flashes. My bad. Yeah, I'm like a reindeer in headlights when you mention his name. You know.
Peter wants to know what was the question Rob got right and Jason got wrong. If that's not hard to bring
that's
up.
a good one.
That is a good question. Let me see here. I've got them up here. The question.
Stupid, I bet. Yeah.
So there's Making Star Wars and Sketchcraft. You're right together, so it makes it easier for me to look. Din Djarin cameo. Yeah.
I'll be right next week.
Jason went with the Bestman Fullerton leak and lost the point. Oh, and actually, there's another one. Boba rides a Rancor. Jason went for that one, and then Fennec kills someone. You got that one wrong. So there's three that no. Okay, so Fennec kills someone. Jason got the point, and Rob didn't. Okay. It's if Boba rides a Rancor, this is where it went back. So
I had faith in them that they were going to set it up and then have it pay off later. It looks like they're going to have him.
No. I'm going to contest this one. The NRA tells me that the rifle kills the person, not the person kills the person. So they say the person. No, you're right.
The person.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
So she killed him. The rifle didn't do it. My bad.
Rancors don't kill people. Mandalorians kill people. No, I don't know. I don't know how it works, but it's something like that.
So Jason went with Boba rides a Rancor. Rob said no. So that's where you wash back out. So Jason was up a point. Now Rob tied him again. And then Din Djarin cameo is what separated it. And then both of you got the bonus question wrong. So Jason went with the Bestman Bulletin in one Starfighter. And then...
Well, that's mine. That's mine for the record. I knew that was coming.
You saw it, but you put it in this episode because of Bestman.
I'm just kidding.
you expect it, but and then Rob in his dark place, the Vespa kid dies.
Yeah.
No,
I think that's a good call.
And then you're also submitting under hardcore, Rob. Is that true?
Am I?
Are you?
No, I just put Sketchcraft. I don't know.
It looks like you again. I'm just saying.
No, I don't. I just put under Sketchcraft. I don't.
Oh, okay. Because
I don't care if I win anything. Like I'm not gaming the system. Like I can assure you, I'm not one of those like I go real hard on Monopoly, folks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fucking winning this no matter what. It's fine.
Well, you are on the Wall of Fame for 2 weeks in a row, and Jason is yet to make it.
No, I keep thinking that they're going to make it good, and for me, that they're going to do what I want. They're not doing what I want.
We keep applying logic. That's why we're losing. Fans are just doing what fans. I can't. I'm trying to apply basic common sense writing. And I'm like, man, I can't predict this shit for nothing.
Well, and that's the thing. Star Wars Meg, she is terrible at this. She's terrible. She had less points than either one of you because predicting is tough, but when you're deep into it, and I think what you said, like Meg always gives me a hard time. She says, I like certain Star Wars content. Otherwise, she likes good Star Wars. So that's her running joke. But I think that's the problem. She wants a particular variety of Star Wars, and they're not giving it to her, so her predictions are off.
Yeah, but she's also loving it, right?
Well,
she's actually like it's really working for her.
So, she has fun doing it. Now, Nikki, her sidekick, side chick,
yeah, American side chick, I believe.
Nikki is less happy about losing. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying not to get too attached to my theories and that kind of thing, and like go with the like fantasy of the creators, if you will, and then give them a chance to make it work for me or whatever and stuff like that. I was trying to be in their corner, like in that way. This one is making it hard for me, though. It's making it a little harder. I'm having to really work for it, and so I'm really hoping those last three are just phenomenal.
I think the reason Rob's doing a little better and why I do as well as I do is I try to think about normies. Is a normie going to be able to follow?
Yeah. And
if they can't, then I'm probably going to go against that, no matter how much fans want it, right? Yeah. But no matter if they keep saying, "Oh, it's going to be Plagueis, Darth Plagueis," every time anything happens, it's Darth Plagueis. I'm like, no, it's not. It's never going to be Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis is never going to be the big reveal. You know why? Because nobody knows who he is. That's why. Yeah. They're not going to do it. They're not going to take a line from the prequels.
Darth Vegas, though. Darth Vegas, maybe.
Yeah, they're just not going to take a line from the prequels and all of a sudden make that the main character of something. It's just not happening. I don't know what to tell you. So I don't know.
Yeah, they might as well have. I mean, in the weirdest way, I was thinking about this the other day. I totally agree with you, Sam. 100%. But I was like, once they decided that Snoke was just this grown thing, like this like clone thing that Palpatine was puppeting, I was like, it really should have been Plagueis, because he could have just killed Plagueis, and then kept his body. He's dead, but his body's alive using that dark side midichlorian magics, and then he's just able to use it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like puppet it like around like. Whenever he freaking out Bernie's whenever he wants, and it would have been a better idea than.
But you got to remember, JJ, if he dislikes something, will make something just as inferior, but will not actually make the thing he didn't like better. And this is a problem when you get someone who's used to like making all the decisions and the calls. Like as an artist, we generally get hired to like make something that people don't like better. They don't invent something new. We're gonna make that thing. They already know it. They know what the brand is. We're just gonna make a better Sonic game than we made the last time.
Like the bacon.
But JJ be like, now fuck Sonic. I'm making Hardy's the Hedgehog. You know what I'm saying? You're like, I don't think that's a better thing than the Sonic that we didn't like. Like you're better off. And so he'll make something that's vastly inferior just to be like, well, I didn't use their shit. I'm getting toys I think it's all to get points on the toys. That's my conspiracy theory, and I'm sticking with it. Look, no one bought the toys, but I think that's the John Peters. I grew up with John Peters thinking, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the problem with Kira and bringing her in with the Crimson Dawn. I think it worked brilliantly at the end of Solo to bring in Maul, and people were like, "What?" Because they knew who Maul was. But are people really going to pick up on Kira? How many people are going to be like, "Wow, that's awesome"? Going back to what you said earlier about the people who know her from Game of Thrones. And the time to introduce her is not in the post-credit scene of.
No, it's not. It's
the 7th episode. Right. 7th episode. And I swear to goodness, Jason, if she's a blue fucking distorted hologram and then you can't even fucking tell she's Khaleesi, I'm gonna fucking fall on the floor dying from laughter.
It won't be blue. It'll be a red hologram. Are you dumb?
Oh, you got me. You got
Yeah.
me. And and there's Santa and his. I should have thought.
You sounded really dumb just now to me.
You're Crimson Dumb. You're not Crimson Dawn.
Yeah. How else do you know which gang you're talking to if it's not color coded?
Right.
In Google, you guys use color tabs, right? I don't know how I would even get around without those. So.
Just wait till the Puce Yuzums show up in hologram form, and we got to deal with fucking varying degrees of red. Is it fucking the Puce Yuzums or the Crimson Yuzums?
I think the Dr. Aphra predictions are just are misplaced for the same reason. First, Black Chrysanthemum. It has a coolness factor, right? So you're like, oh, cool. I don't need to know who Black Chrysanthemum is. He's a giant Wookiee who is cool.
Great design. That's all that matters. Great design.
Exactly. Yeah. Bringing in some tie-in from the War of the Bounty Hunters comics to bring in Kira to the Solo movie that's a nice deep cut and I'm all for it. But the normie's not going to get that. That's just going to fly over their head. And she doesn't have that coolness factor. She's not like, oh, I can't believe they did that. It's just going to be like, who?
And even at that level, still, like I went to the premiere of Solo. The Darth Maul thing happened, so it was with a bunch of industry people, and they really just didn't give a shit.
Oh, really?
It's like, when Darth Maul went, at the premiere, nobody gave a shit. Went to opening night of Solo, bunch of Star Wars fans. I'm going to say the most people were like, whoa. And then like a couple of people who like really didn't know were like, oh, cool. Finally, they're going to do something with it, which kind of like the vibe that I got off of it. When I saw it again later on with a very general audience, it was just literally crickets.
Really?
Yeah, like I saw it like on the Saturday it came out with like a general audience, and then I think it was like around 1:00 noon. Just generally, actually, nobody just was like, okay. No, it was an audience who was having an okay time.
But you're already tired too.
Yeah,
it comes at a point where you're like, this movie ended 3 times because it ends, and then you got the Lando card game thing. It just wins it fucking over, man. And then this thing, and you're just like, all right, man, I'm tired. I'm gonna go home. I've been eating Denny's all fucking day.
But I mean,
the moon's over my hammy and an egg slamming me. And fucking...
but when that's the reaction with Darth Maul, who had even if you didn't really watch the movie, KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell and Pepsi made sure you knew who Darth Maul was. Yeah. So he was on a global scale. The poster for the Phantom Menace is like one of the most seen pieces of art in the history of the world right now, or something like that, or the living world, anyways. And it's like so the Maul showing up in that one, I could kind of see just where in a way they're like, yeah, okay, like let's do it. With
you
her,
imagine now if we had those commercials, Jason, where it's like Taco Bell bringing you the Crimson Dawn Chalupa, the spice of red.
Oh, dude.
Oh my God. And then they cut to a scene from myself, Crimson Dawn. Oh my God, the Crimson. You wake up in the morning with your Crimson Dawn breakfast sliders. Like,
dude, no. If I could go right now and get a Crimson Dawn Los Doritos taco, oh, I would be so happy. I would, and it has like that thing so you don't get your fingers with the nacho cheese stuff on it. And it has like Kira on it. And she's like,
oh, wait, the Underworld game scratch offs. Maybe you two can join the Dawn. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like that kind of marketing. Look, we say it's goofy, but that marketing does fucking drive it into your head, like what this shit is in a way that the trailers can't.
Yeah.
So when it comes to cameos, then there's 2 that I think sort of make sense. One, it would be Cad Bane, just for the cool. You go back to a cool design. You've got a Western gunslinger. You don't need to know who he is. You're like, whoa, there's some dude really cool gunslinger. I don't know who the heck he is, but he looks cool. Like he reminds me of Clint Eastwood. We're good. So I can see him getting by with a Cad Bane to the general audience. The other, for sure, would be if they can pull off a Han Solo. Like everybody's going to know who Han Solo is.
Let me ask you this: I have a Cad Bane. Let's fan math this. Do you guys think if Cad Bane does come in, Do you think there will be bad blood? They will duel. He will win, repair him, and then now he works for him. You think there will be that involved?
Well, they already dueled, and Cad Bane's already repaired. It happened in the Bad Batch.
Right, and so is Cad Bane just like, you win?
Or is it like
how do they atone where he's willing to work for it? You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm going. That's why I'm wondering if they're going to have if they're going to go at it again, and if they're going to have a Cad Bane Boba mini fight, and then Cad Bane's like, all right, I can't beat you.
I could see it easily being about look, water under the bridge. We've got a bigger threat. Why don't you come help me out? Like,
yeah,
job's a job. Like it was with Black Chrysanthemum, right? Like, dude, we're all bounty hunters here. You and I were on the same team. It doesn't matter. You tried to kill me. That's all good. So it could be that way with Cad Bane as well. Like,
yeah,
it's in the past. In the past, you shot me in the head. I shot you in the head. Let's move. Let's.
He sees Mace Windu and he's like, the past, fucker. Kill him again.
Yeah,
shit goes right out the window. Fennec, you run it. You run the Tatooine. I'm heading out.
Do you think that as he goes to put together, if he does go to put together Star Wars Avengers to save Tatooine, so to speak, do you think they would put Luke in there? Do you think that they would Boba would go to the people who put him in the Sarlacc pit for help in the end, in terms of this is more important than my dumb ego, and I'm going to use that connection through Din to make it work? You think they would do that? I kind of don't, but
I kind of don't. I'm thinking back to Fennec's statement at the end of the episode 4. I think they're going to go back to Din for sure, right? They telecast that, but there's been some speculation. What about the other Mandalorians? Like that whole covert? Would they go back to maybe bring in the Mandalorians, all of them? And so I think it's more likely that we could end up with a Bo-Katan in that kind of situation. And Casca Reeves and Din and the covert.
Do you think Casca Reeves is out for Gina Carano reasons?
Nope.
No, because I know that she had some stuff, but it didn't seem to be as
no. She knows how to be less on social media.
She knows when to pull back, so to speak. Yeah.
Right. It's not a hill she wants to die on, and Gina was willing to die on the hill, and that's if that's your fight, you want to die on that hill, then accept that consequence. I don't think Casca wants to do that.
Yeah. Because I mean, there are a lot of characters who are existing in the Favreau Filoni universe right now, the Mandoverse, whatever we want to call it, that it could easily be brought in. But I do feel like maybe towards the back end of it, that's where they just got to go over the top, where you just like everybody starts showing up for this thing, and then you're like, oh, and then that's when everybody freaks out and agrees that it over delivered, even if it doesn't. But you think it does in the moment.
And you saw. You talked about the mini Mandos, but that wasn't in context to the Book of Boba Fett, was it?
Wait, the mini Mandos, that was for the next season, the current filming season of Mandalorian. Yeah. But maybe we're going to see some of that set up here about where those people
got enough money. And you know where to find him. You can hire Dengar. Like, I hope they don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, really? Because it's like, when you're trying to tell your parents something's cool, and then you're looking at your parents and they're looking at you like, you still think this He-Man shit's cool, man? Like, no, it's cool, man. It's getting cool. Just hold on. This is what's coming. It's cool's coming. I have the power. It's cool, right? And your dad's looking at you like, fucking nerds, man. Like,
I was just wondering if that mini Mando scene could be in the Book of Boba Fett. Like, end up with a whole mess of Mandalorians there to fight off the Pikes.
No.
No?
No. There would be one guy show up with this fucking Naboo starfighter. And that's all we needed was a Naboo starfighter to take over Tatooine. Didn't you know that? Like, I'm going to be negative and say it's as dumb as that. Because you know what? I've not been pulling the whole COVID's a problem thing. But I got to think maybe COVID was a problem. And they're just like, we got to really keep this kind of simple now. Like,
I've read it, I've heard it, I've been processing. I still can't put Mando in a Naboo starfighter. I don't. Why? Well, how does that serve him in any way? Like, is there a surplus of them like laying around all over the place?
Well, okay.
Yeah, you needed a new ship.
Well, but they're not gonna. You can't exactly put your block of carbonite in there to take it back to get your reward, can you?
No, it's got that droid thing in the back. You just shove there, and it and it goes straight through. So when they come out, they're isocubes, right? They drop right through. Ting 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 ting.
Yeah, So my take on that, on the Naboo starfighter thing, Din takes his helmet off now. Right, he doesn't fly around with the helmet, and I think if you take the helmet off and put him in that ship, I think it fits a Pedro Pascal. I think it's pretty classy. He looks like pretty classy. He has that classy porno star mustache going. He's flying around in that yellow thing. It's sort of the Star Wars equivalent of a space ranchero, I would say, and so I could definitely see it. I'm for it.
And he flies by the mayor's office and sees that guy who's got a similar mustache, and they look at each other, and he gives him the Val Kilmer thumbs up from Batman Forever. Because he can see him from like a mile up in the air, right? Like in Batman Forever.
Yeah, and unless something's changed, it is yellow. It is like I've had people go, ask me like, is the whole thing silver? Is it red now or whatever? And I'm like, it was yellow. So as far as I know, it's yellow. And just
brilliant design, but I hope they do something with it. But if a Naboo fighter saves them all, like that's all there is, it's like I guess that's all it took to defeat the Pikes was one Naboo starfighter.
I mean the thing is that it like at this point is Din still a bounty hunter? Like, is that where we have like our fake contention? Like, I'm not a mercenary bounty hunter anymore. Why are you? What do you want? What do you want from me? I don't do that. And because we don't really know what his next move was. Does he leave with Bo-Katan to go, fight for Mandalore? Is that literally what he does? Or does he go, well, that was nice. Thanks for the sword. I don't want it. And then goes about back to bounty hunting. And the very next day, it's not like he got a big sum of cash either, though. He didn't get paid for giving Grogu over to the Jedi, or the Jedi weren't like, hey, here we go. I prefer cash, like in the Arl Knots episode. It's like, you know what I mean? So like what does he do? Yeah, what does he do though? In the moments after, it's like, well, he's clearly has some kind of adventure. He does need some kind of ship. Did he just steal a Naboo starfighter? Did he do a job? Did Boba send him the Naboo starfighter as a gift? He is kind of rolling in it at the moment, Did he send him a fancy, like the equivalent of sending him a fancy sports car?
I want the Naboo starfighter to go over a sand dune like in Ferris Bueller when they do the Star Wars fucking thing. The first time they ever use a Star Wars theme song in the middle of an episode, and he's in there. Whoa!
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be rad though if Boba did use his new little Godfather fortune, and he saw another Mandalorian, saw a ship get blown up, and he's like, let's buy that guy in the Naboo starfighter.
How useless is that? I don't get this. Din flying around in a starfighter.
Look, it's a great visual, but it's the story you're wondering. It's not the visual idea. Like you can.
Well, how does he get there?
He flies through space, Santa. How do you get around the planet in one fucking night? Like I've been trying to figure this out for 43 years.
Well, I don't get it. Like, why an X-wing? Why a starfighter? Why a TIE fighter? Like, none of those things are ships that Mando would want, right? Din why would Din want something that he couldn't haul
He
around?
loves prequel era shit, bro. Like he's flying a fucking prequel era ship.
He can haul things around in it. These other vehicles don't have things you can haul around. You can't take your friends for a ride. I don't know.
It doesn't have a bathroom in it.
You can take your cybernetic friends. They can fit right in the droid section. They just link right in there.
Whoa! like Bill and Ted when they're just like going to the phone booth. Whoa!
or like those biplane wing riders.
Yeah, this is
on top.
This is my new ship, the Sopwith Bantha. All right, man.
In a weird way, once Tamura Morrison was Jango Fett, he was a lock for Boba Fett. It was almost like where they were going to have to go. If they showed anything that wasn't young Boba Fett, they were kind of stuck going in that way, either way. Do you think maybe he looks dorky when he flies in the rocket pack because he's so stocky and big that it just looks bad? Because it's also kind of weird that we're like 4 episodes in and he's only landed really quickly. Just he's a rocket man, not doing rocket man stuff.
No, this can look stupid with thin guys, though. This is why Superman has that superhero quick landing now, because only Christopher Reeve, who trained at Juilliard with the ballet, was able to pull that one off. Where they land slowly and it still looks cool. Like everyone else looks really stupid.
Sheev solved it for us. Yeah. Who wants to try spinning? It's a good trick. I'm sold.
That's it.
I will say, if I lived in the Star Wars universe, and let's be honest, I would probably just be like a watermonger or something. But right. if I could be whatever I wanted, I would definitely have a Naboo starfighter. I would. That's the ship I would have. Oh yeah, that's my. If I would have an X-wing fighter if I wanted to murder people, but if I just wanted to fly around and just generally be like have a good time and feel good about things, the Naboo starfighter I think is the classiest starship of all time.
Okay.
not a fan of the
no.
Design.
I mean it's fine, but
he hates John Lennon.
That's true, and I'm not a fan of the prequels, so I still take an X-wing. I'd take a TIE fighter over a Naboo starfighter. I don't know.
Okay, I'll take a TIE Interceptor. TIE fighters look stupid, but the TIE Interceptor is a good looking design.
Is now a good time to ask Santa if he will sing Imagine with all of us, like in a video?
No, that's never a good time for that. Never.
Okay. Imagine all the Mandos in Naboo starfighters. Oh, Nubian. I just want Tamura Morrison to run his hand across and go, Nubian.
Yeah. Well, I think we're gonna did we hit everything from the results before we end the show? I don't remember if we did.
From the results, I think so. I mean, you guys did just fine. We had a 220 out of 20s. I had an 18 out of 20. It's respectable.
That's very good. Yeah.
Well, I so did Rob. So that's the reason is, it's because I try to go with what is realistic for normies, and I happen to live with one, so it's easier for me to make those calls. So she could care less about Boba Fett. She's watching the show just because I'm like, can we watch it now, please? Can we watch it now? Even though I've already watched it. 1, 2, 3 times. I'll be like, can we watch Boba Fett together? She's like, no.
I want to watch you watch it.
we were watching it. We were watching episode 3. She said, "You're narrating a lot of this." I said, "Because you're not watching it." Like
eyes on the screen, lady.
Could you watch the show? She just doesn't care. She just honestly doesn't care. She's generally that way with Star Wars as a whole, but she liked The Mandalorian, and the Book of Boba Fett's just not really cutting it. So I think if you want to get a sense for what normies out there, what they look for, then it makes it easier to do the predictions.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. I mean, it's like if it gets too inside baseball, if it gets to like even like I agree with Make, like Bosk is famous to me, but I know that like I'm sure if you I don't know, maybe she wouldn't know because she's had to buy you a Bosk or something in your life. But if you ask your wife about Bosk, she might look at you like what?
Right, what? She would, and she wouldn't be able to pick him.
Springsteen.
She wouldn't be able to pick him from a lineup of Trandoshans. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
like you line him up. You say, "Can you point to the one that shot you?"
She's like, "He's in a Doctor Who spacesuit. That would be Bosk." I'm like, whoa, really? You know that, huh? Okay, I'm impressed.
Is that a slee stack?
Yeah. It turns out Star Wars Santa's wife is all into Land of the Lost. That's her jam, big time. Was it Cardi? Was it Cardi and Moff? Crofty and Moff? Whatever it was. Sid and Nancy. I can't remember what their name was now. But yeah. As
they gave us Mayor McCheese. Respect that, bitch. You know what I mean? They gave us the fucking Grimace.
yeah. I don't think she could pick between a slee stack and Bosk. She wouldn't know the difference.
Is it Sid and Marty Krofft?
Is that what it is? I don't know.
The best line Kevin Smith ever had a hand in writing. I don't know if he wrote that line or if it was the writers of the cartoon series, but then they asked him if you could stop the Grimace, and the mayor goes, "Nothing can stop the Grimace." I love it. I love that shit. Like, it's so good.
So funny.
Yeah.
So I think that pretty well covers it. Those of us that kind of went with the Bespin Bulletin. Now let me ask you this question. So the Bespin Bulletin, that article came out yesterday, and they said, "Look, I don't have confirmation on any of this stuff, but here's what I've heard, and it's going to be episode 4 or 5." So it's still he's still hedging his bets, right? They're still hedging their bets on that being like a real thing. Other than
it's just like I was saying on your show yesterday. There was things that I was hearing about all of the show, about various aspects of it, and the people who made it aren't sure what episode that stuff goes in.
Well, we know the N1. You saw the N1, so that's a MakingStarWars.net reveal. But as far as Din Djarin being in episode 4 or 5. How confident are you that he's going to be in one of these two?
100%, and 100% that Bespin Bulletin scoop is correct.
Okay. Because they were really careful at the beginning, saying maybe none of it's true. I'm like, then why?
And 100% that the production didn't go back full swing after the Christmas break. Bespin Bulletin is, in my opinion, as good as you can get.
Perfect.
Yeah, if I had one person who I trusted the most in the world of this game, if you will, it's him.
So I'm going all in on my predictions next week around the N1. I'm doing it, and Din Djarin. Now I need 2 replacement questions for next week. And I've got two perspectives. One, war breaks out with the Pikes. That's one replacement. The other is we see the N1 starfighter. So I'm going to put the N1 in there, and I'm going to say yes. But what about the war breaks out with the Pikes?
Right. Yeah, I feel like if we have 3 episodes left, in terms of tropes, Rob, would you agree that a message has to be sent to the Pikes because they're always that moment where a message gets sent, and so like if the message is sent, is that war breaking out? I guess is my question: is what constitutes war breaking out? Because there won't be a resolution in the 5th episode. We know that.
War to make here's an analogy. A war breaking out isn't Al Capone and Blondie from Boardwalk Empire killing some dudes out in the woods, right? War breaking out is when they go and get Al Capone and all those guys to help them because war has actually broke out with all these guys in the city. Like it's the montage with the war in the city. You know, like to make a Boardwalk Empire reference, if you know what I'm talking about. So, it can't be 40 minutes and then the thing at the end we sent a message like that. That would be no. War is the montage. You know, the Molotov cocktails and the and the front doors. That we took the guys out at the front step. They took our guys out. I don't know who the Pikes are supposed to take out. He has so few people. I feel like next episode is going to be the the everyone shows up to get hired for the team thing, like,
Right.
what about you? What about you? What about you?
That's what I feel like too. I don't know that we're going to get full war broke out in next episode. That might not be until 6, but there's been a lot of talk about Ming-Na saying 5, 6, 7. That's where the action takes place. And so they're like, oh, that means episode 5. That's going to be the action episode. That's going to be where we go at it. Well, maybe not.
All the 5, 6, 7 stuff that we keep hearing from them. To me, it says that they're well aware of how this was gonna play out. I don't think that's organic. I don't think they're all saying 5, 6, 7. Just that I think they came to a consensus. We really need to tell people to stick this out to 5, 6, and 7. I am getting that vibe because they usually you can't just start talking about specific episode numbers. That's not cool. They won't like that. I've done podcasts where we're talking and all of a sudden the PR person's like, excuse me, you can't do that, and they freak out about anything stupid shit that happens.
Yeah,
so I really
tell that R word to shut up. Oh man,
yes.
my bad.
Riding a Rancor up to the Pike's front door and knocking on the front door, that might be sending a message, but that might not be war.
Yeah, it's true. I also hope that the mayor's Twi'lek dude, I hope he gets eaten by the Rancor. He really just needs to get toasted though.
So we could put on there.
Did you let him go after that scene?
He was being interrogated. They said he was singing like a yasm.
That's right, like a yasm.
And then but so I have to assume that he's not having a good time. But
I guess he's with the cyber gang. That would have been funny to just cut to them in a separate room and like they're tickling his feet or something. Like
cyber gang is giving him like robotic Liku or whatever.
You remember those droid? Like instead of torturing him, they're torturing a droid. Now it's your turn. No, kill, talk, because they have all those droid torture facilities down there. Like there's something to do.
Oh, you know what I wanted to bring up is that they use the word Gotra. They actually use she's all you're gonna go up against a Gotra.
Oh,
and, and there's the droid Gotra was kind of how we first were introduced to this concept. And it's this idea that these battle droids became more sentient after the Clone Wars, ended up becoming their own thing, and then ends up leading to the IG-88, IG-11 kind of stuff. I was kind of curious, and then we have all these android kids and stuff like that coming. So I kind of think that in a weird way, they may end up becoming sort of allies. And I'm curious if they're going to take it that way. Once again, I might be going exactly what we agreed with how you predict the stuff correctly is not getting too inside baseball, right. But that
Gotra, I don't even know what that shit is, guys.
Droid Gotra, like IG-11, IG-88.
How do you have a guy on the show who doesn't know what a Gotra is? It's fucking bullshit. Get someone who's informed. Like, oh man, the fucking people making the show don't know what a Gotra is. Who's the best fucking writer in TV? If you got the newsroom guy, if you got the best writers, if you got Vince Gilligan in his motherfucking room, Vince Gilligan wouldn't know what a fucking Gotra is. Like. Chill out.
Actually, right now, to me and Vince Gilligan, you sound like really stupid to us. You're like a real dummy to us right now.
Well, that's just because how I talk. Because like a dummy.
Because Vince Gilligan, he would just get on Wikipedia and look it up and go, "Oh, well, now I know what it is. Why is he so dumb?"
I mean, look, marble mouth motherfucker. You know what I mean? I liked El Camino, so you shut up. A lot of people shit on that fucking movie. El Camino looking real good right about now compared to Boba Fett. Just saying.
Yeah. No, I could see. I mean, I do feel like Boba's gonna have to. I do feel like there's gonna have to be allies coming in that he's bringing in, that he's paying for, or in some way. And so I'm just trying to figure out who those can be beyond just being a greatest hits of bounty hunter ideas, and if they were gonna develop the little biker gang anymore, the droid Gotra connection would be it. and that subculture already exists on Tatooine. They probably already have a droid Gotra connection. They probably look up to them. They probably think they're like rock stars. But if it doesn't come out here, I'm just waiting for it to come into something, because it's just like any minute now. It has to become a thing, because that droid Gotra concept has been. What I would say is that it was being seeded in Star Wars for a really long time, and then they started to play with it in Mandalorian with IG-11, but they didn't go very far with it, as per always, as per the usual. But yeah,
and Bespin Bulletin made it in. They must have heard us mentioning their names.
Hey.
Look, Bespin Bulletin's like Candyman. You say its name 3 times, fucking appears.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, and to answer Ged Gerald Jones, I do think Boba will meet Omega, but not in this series.
Yeah, and Bespin, good job on the old scooper. Good work, man. You did a good job. Next week you are going to be vindicated, and but I will say you really shit the bed with that Mando 3 not filming, because boy did you sound dumb to me. No, you were right there too. And massive respect to Bespin Bulletin, and anybody who gives him shit is just posturing and looking dumb to me, for the record. But yeah. So, anyways, anyone have anything to say before we get out of here and go live our normal lives for after the last 24 hours of this?
No.
No.
Nope. This is
like,
normal
nah.
Yeah.
I gotta go hoard toilet paper again, because you just never know now.
See this right here?
Most requested thing of 2020.
This is hand sanitizer. I go everywhere just filling these bottles up with hand sanitizer. Every time I go into a place and they have one, I just pump the bottle full of it, and there's hand sanitizer. I'm gonna get a little drunk right now. It was
like every parent wanted toilet paper and every kid wanted their dead parents back. I don't know how to make either.
That got dark.
Sorry.
He's like, man, I am a Santa, come on, dude. But anyways,
they've never dealt with Santa Clauses during a pandemic, like the Santa Claus of the Spanish flu. Like, what did that have to go right? What does Santa Claus do during World War I?
No, we had another Santa die this week of COVID. Like it's been decimating the Santa Claus community. So as bad as it is, and it just you can deny it all you want, but we're losing a lot of Santa Clauses who come from a different generation and don't necessarily trust what they're being told and don't necessarily do the things, and it has decimated us. It's tough to deal with. Yeah.
So
Santa just brought the whole show down.
I feel like this was my call to adventure. This was the time when I'm like, I need to grow the beard out.
You do.
I'm ready.
It's a serious problem in the community, and it's something we're trying to work through. But and I'm actually working with another. Just for my own business, I'm working on another venture that might get me out of doing other things and just be a full-time Santa, 365 days a year. How cool would that be? And who wouldn't want to be a Santa every day of the year?
Christmas every day is the best.
I'm for it.
Bezos. No money in Santa.
Christmas or Halloween every day. I'd be happy with that.
Bezos wants the elves, but he doesn't want to be a Santa. It's a fucking problem. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone. Thanks, Bryce. Thank you, Star Wars Santa, for showing up and this impromptu visit. I always appreciate it.
Yeah.
And Rob, thanks for coming on again, hanging out with me. Even though you're a ghost, so you totally cheated by just remote viewing into Lucasfilm and knowing what they were doing. And
see you around, kid.
Yeah. And thanks to everyone in the chat who hung out with us today. And good job, Bespin Bulletin. And we will see everyone tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. And thanks for liking and subscribing and for being Patreon and channel members, supporters, and all that jazz. And check out Star Wars Santa's show. It is fun and it's good times. And I'm always with Santa on Mondays. So come and hang out with me on Monday on Star Wars Santa's show, but then hang out the rest of the days with Santa. It's a good time.
Thank you. Yes,
bye, everybody.
It's not about spaceships.
Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show. Making Star Wars Show.
It's not about spaceships.